I'm going to make sure I'm fat. So people will subconsciously not respect me, not give me opportunities, and just make my life harder. Because that's what I was doing. That's what you're doing. When you're by yourself, you feel like you want to eat that food that you know is not good for you. And you think, who cares? Who's going to know? Well, that's going to follow you around. Your body is a representation of how much respect you have for yourself. And if you don't have enough respect to get yourself in shape, no one else is going to have respect for you. So you need to do everything you can to give yourself an unfair advantage instead of an unfair disadvantage. That's what you need to do. And you can do all of that by just lowering your baseline, changing the story, changing the narrative for 2 weeks. And if you do that, you can go from here, what you're used to eating, down to here for 2 weeks, and then bump it up to here. And this will still get you consistent results. But if you want to see results fast, if you're anything like me and momentum helps you flip that switch, do a baseline reset. Just reset your baseline and it will work wonders for you. It will set you off on a whole new trajectory in life. This is proof. Day 13, I'm finally down to 219.6, and it's because I... Welcome back to the Jason Jacobs Show, and today is day 13 of 14 of sticking to this baseline reset. I'm officially 8 pounds down, 8 point something. Matter of fact, let's just get right into the daily update here. I am 219.6 pounds. I started this at 228, which means I'm 8.4 pounds down. I've officially lost over 8 pounds in this 2 week period. If that's not a testament to what's possible by lowering your baseline, just taking a quick 2 week period to reset your life, I don't know what is. Literally 2 weeks ago, I was eating so much more. I was literally stuck and feeling like there was no way possible that I could lose weight. But honestly, just by doing it, right? Taking action is so important because that literally proved to myself that I can. And so if you're telling yourself right now a story about why it's not possible for you, just know that on the other side of taking the action and making it happen, you would have a different story. If you've ever seen Alone, where these guys go out into the wilderness and they literally can't eat anything because there's nothing around, they're fishing for 3 days and hoping to catch a small fish, right? They either tap out and go home or they deal with it. And every single one of those people lose weight. It's a simple equation. Your macros, you want your macros to be consistent, yes, but it all comes down to calories in and energy or calories out. So if you can just eat less than what you're used to, aka controlling your baseline, removing the need to eat this much food and bringing your baseline down to here. If you can do that, then eventually you can kick it up to here. I'm just getting ready to do this to increase my baseline now. And that's going to feel amazing because I've gone from here literally for years now. I have no idea how I sustained this. After just a 2 week period of eating from here down to here, I no longer think I'd be able to eat this much. I know for a fact I don't need that much food, but I was tricking myself every single day into thinking that I did need the food. There's actually other things I can do, I realized. Wow, I can read a book. I can do almost anything. I can binge Netflix if I want to, but I don't need to go eat again. I used to binge Netflix with food, but like I can just watch TV without eating. I can go out to a park and just walk laps and listen to Wes Watson and let him talk his shit and just yell at me all day and tell me what a piece of shit I am for being such an overweight dad and allowing my family to eat in inconsistent and horrible ways that are not going to be beneficial to them in their long-term health. Sometimes you just need to find whatever it is that works for you. You can do so many things. I can be productive. I can create a video and try to help other people. Look, I'm not eating right now. Wow. I could decide I was hungry right now and go get a snack I didn't need, but I obviously don't need that, and I've proven that to myself over time. Now, the other day, I gave in. I went and had a burger with my family. I just wasn't feeling like myself. I was trying to eat a lot less that day. I had about 2 protein shakes and that was it. And I was trying to get through the whole day with just nothing but protein. And by the end of the day, I think it was a Friday, I just wasn't feeling like myself. It might be simple, but it's not easy. But you'll be able to do it. We're creating a whole community here of people who are going through it. Leave your update after you go through your own 14-day challenge and let other people know that this is possible because we can all do this. It's not going to be easy, but it is simple. It's 14 days of lowering your baseline. And if you want to know how to do that, send me a DM. I'm happy to help you. I'm happy to set up your macros for you and tell you exactly what you should be eating. And from there, you just stick to the structure for 14 days and you'll see your entire life transform. All right? You can do this. You're not stuck being fat. You're not stuck consuming food. You might think I'm a literal food addict. I literally would use food because I know that I am meant for greatness. And certain areas of my life haven't caught up to that yet. And I felt overworked and underpaid and overlooked at work and all of these things. And I would just come back to food as like a drug to just be able to feel okay in the moment because I'm upset or I'm sad. But it's okay to be upset or sad or overwhelmed. I've had a really tough 5-10 years. I was supporting a family of 4 before I could actually even support myself financially. So I never had that time of making good money for my own self. I work a software engineer job, and some days I feel like a minimum wage worker with what's left at the end of the month to invest or do anything else. So sometimes I'm overwhelmed. Sometimes I feel like life's unfair. You might sometimes feel like life's unfair. But the one thing you don't want to do is go make it more unfair. Life being unfair because of things that you feel have just been your cards that you were dealt or circumstances you were put in, that's one thing. But doing it to yourself, saying life is unfair over here, so I'm going to go make it unfair over here. I'm going to go give myself another unfair disadvantage that I have to deal with now. I'm going to make sure I'm fat. So people will subconsciously not respect me, not give me opportunities, and just make my life harder. Because that's what I was doing. That's what you're doing. When you're by yourself, you feel like you want to eat that food that you know is not good for you. And you think, who cares? Who's going to know? Well, that's going to follow you around. Your body is a representation of how much respect you have for yourself. And if you don't have enough respect to get yourself in shape, no one else is going to have respect for you. So you need to do everything you can to give yourself an unfair advantage instead of an unfair disadvantage. That's what you need to do. And you can do all of that by just lowering your baseline, changing the story, changing the narrative for 2 weeks. And if you do that, you can go from here, what you're used to eating, down to here for 2 weeks, and then bump it up to here. And this will still get you consistent results. But if you want to see results fast, if you're anything like me and momentum helps you flip that switch, do a baseline reset. Just reset your baseline and it will work wonders for you. It will set you off on a whole new trajectory in life. This is proof. Day 13, I'm finally down to 219.6, and it's because I knew I was going to do it. I got tired and fed up, and this is the whole thing. Life is all about our thoughts, our words, and our actions. You can think one thing. Most of us are stuck in the loop of, we think a thought, we want to change, I want to be different, and then we speak that out loud. I want to change, I want to be different. We even go so far as to say, I'm going to change. I'm gonna do it this time, right? How many times have you said, I'm gonna, but then you reset, or you do it for 2 days and then you fall off? That's the whole point of this baseline reset, is that when you just do a 14-day baseline reset of really going hard for 14 days to a point that you're really not used to and it feels uncomfortable, then once you bump your baseline up to here, it feels like you're overeating, like you're getting more food now. And guess what? That's something that you can sustain all of a sudden. And you also see when you're on the other side of the fence, you see how eating what you used to eat is not it. But when you're in it and when you're using food as a drug, or you're acting like a food addict, like as if you can't stop eating the things that you know you shouldn't eat, when you're in it, you don't see any problem with it. But on the other side of the fence, once you've stopped, you'll see a completely different version of yourself. And you'll also see that old activity as, why was I overeating? Why was I even doing that? This is how I feel about 14 days ago. Literally 14 days ago, I would eat whatever I wanted to just because I wanted to. I would never do that ever again in my life. I feel like this 14-day reset has changed everything for me. I literally would tell my girlfriend, like, I don't think I can lose weight anymore at this point. Maybe for whatever reason, it's just not for me. How weird is that? That's not true for me or for you. We can all lose weight if we just lower how much food we're eating in any given day. That's all it takes. So it all comes down to thoughts, words, and actions. And that last part, actions, is what really matters. That last part is what really is going to move the needle or not. You can think the right thoughts and speak the right words, but if you don't have the right action, if you don't have the right follow through, it will all be for nothing. And that's where you need some type of structure to help, right? Because there's something called the knowing doing gap. And the knowing doing gap is when you know what you're supposed to do, but you can't actually get yourself to do it. And this happens a lot. And why does it happen? Because we don't have a structure, because we don't have some type of system. You'll always, it's like they say, you'll always fall back to the level of your standards. If this is your standard up here, I just eat this much, then I can try to eat down here for a while. But as soon as I'm stressed, as soon as I have no more willpower, I'm going back to my standard, which is just eat this much. This is how I deal with my day. But if my standard, because I set a standard because I thought a thought, and I spoke it out loud, and I created a system that allowed my actions to follow through. If my standard is now, I went from eating this much to eating this much, and this is all I eat, and this is my standard for the next 14 days, well then now I'm going to fall back to that standard even if things get in the way. And then when I increase my baseline to here, I can do this all day. Then it's no problem anymore because I've literally changed my perception around this. And so this is where we need to understand thoughts, words, actions is everything. If you can get something from your thoughts to your words to your actions sustainably, consistently, for a long enough period of time, you can change your life. And so this also brings us the need for the understanding that we need to guard our thoughts. We need to guard our mind. What did Jim Rohn say? Guard your mind, because that's the most important thing. If your worst enemy came up and dropped sugar in your coffee, what would happen to you if you drank it? Nothing. It's sugar. Your coffee's going to be sweeter. If your best friend came up and even on accident dropped strychnine in your coffee, which is a lethal poison, what would happen if you drank it? You would die. And he said, life is both sugar and strychnine. Guard your coffee. Stand guard at the door of your mind. And the reason he says stand guard at the door of your mind is for this exact reason. We need to be adamant about not allowing thoughts into our minds that are not going to be beneficial for us. And then if they're in here, if you have a thought that you don't want to come into existence, don't ever speak it. Don't let it get to stage 2. If you have a thought that's not beneficial, push it out. Don't let it go any further. That's where it stops. If it's a good thought, and if with practice and intention we can generate better and better thoughts and ask better questions. The Michael Beckwith method. Just keep asking, God, how does life get better and better for me from here? How amazing is this going to be? All of these questions that, shout out to Agape. You know what I'm talking about if you've ever seen Michael Bernard Beckwith. Maybe you've seen an Oprah interview. He teaches to ask great questions. When you ask better questions, the universe gives you better answers. How much weight can I lose in the next 14 days? If I get this baseline reset by this Jason Jacob guy and I follow through, how great will my life get? How many things can change just in 14 days just by following a structure or a system? So you stand guard at the door of your mind. You ask great questions to get great answers and allow your thoughts to come up with the right idea to help you move the needle in your life. Then we speak these thoughts into existence. This is part of manifestation. And it's not just some woo-woo thing. It's real. It's literally training our brains by speaking something, solidifying it. Neurons that fire together, wire together, right? So thinking them is one thing. You're firing neurons at that level. Speaking it into existence is a second level. Now you're firing neurons in different places of your brain. And then the third level of this is to create a system around what you're now speaking out loud and you're decreeing is going to happen for you. So you can't think it and speak it and then not create a system around it, or else it'll all fall apart, especially if you're anything like me, especially if you have any type of ADHD habits. You can hope and wish, but you can't follow through. If you create a system around what you want to happen and what's possible, anything's possible for you. Thinking and then speaking and then taking action. It's thoughts, words, actions. And we have to follow through with the actions long enough to see real change in our lives. And we can all do that. In this 14-day challenge, I've now lost over 8 pounds in 12 days. I'm literally 1 day away from completing this challenge. And then I get to bump my baseline up. And I'm definitely ready to increase my fats a little because I've been kind of low in that category. But that's what actually makes this weight loss happen. And that's what helps you see momentum and quick results. And then after that, you can go to something that's more sustainable long term. This is just an entryway into being more disciplined in all areas and aspects of life for me. I apply these same principles to investing. I've had some ups and downs investing in the stock market, and I've learned now to be more consistent, to be more diversified, to have different categories of different stocks so that at different time periods in the macroeconomic climate, I can survive different regimes, as they call them. It's the same thing in business. It's the same thing in any aspect of your life. You think it first, then you speak it, and then you create a system so that your actions follow through. And if you will follow through with your actions for long enough, you can have anything you desire. Any aspect of your life that you think you're being held back in, you can break free from, as long as you get this right. Guard your thoughts, speak what you want into existence, and then create a system that will help you take action consistently to get there. And that's why I always say that freedom is possible. Action creates opportunity, and your outer world changes the moment you change on the inside. I'll see you next time.